Interrupt this program for breaking news.
As much as possible, stay home.
More than 750 people have now tested positive in Canada. BC saw a major spike yesterday, 45 new cases, bringing the total to 231.
Sorry if this lighting is like super weird or if it bothers you. It's just like really sunny today, I guess. Hey guys, it's Savannah. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be quite a bit more of a serious video that I wasn't extremely excited to make. I actually originally this week wanted to film a haul because I got a bunch of stuff from Pretty Little Thing not too long ago, but with everything going on around in the world right now, I just felt like it would be kind of like insensitive and just didn't really feel right just talking about some clothes that I got online when we're literally dealing with a global pandemic. Where I live right now, we are feeling the wrath of this global pandemic pretty hard in our everyday life. I wouldn't say that our stats are as insane as say in China or Italy, but we're definitely like on a full lockdown and life has been very different since. So I really wanted to just kind of come on here. And the reason I wanted to make this video in the first place is to kind of talk about how it's affected my life personally, how us Canadians are affected by it, how we're dealing with it, and just kind of my overall thoughts in general. Anyway, I'm gonna get more into it. I'm kind of just like rambling off now. I also took some notes down just because I felt like there was some points that were more important to touch on than others, and I wanted to make sure I didn't miss any. Firstly, just wanted to clarify why I'm making this video. I wanted to just put a quick disclaimer that I am not making this video because I feel like I am in the worst position, or I'm not saying by any means that I am the worst affected by this pandemic, because I'm not. I'm 20 years old. The chances of me contracting this virus and, you know, dying is not super high. So I can't really sit here and complain, but I wanted to touch on this video on how it's affected my personal life and how Canada's responding to it, because like I said earlier, life is so different as of the last week and I don't really know what I'm even doing with my life now. And just to hear someone else's story kind of relieves a little bit of stress sometimes, or at least for me. Like the last few days I've been quarantined in my apartment and I've just been watching every video on the internet about coronavirus, like about people who are in China right now experiencing it, people in Switzerland who are experiencing it. I guess I'll just kind of start with how this all started for me personally and how I started to be notified about it and how my life started changing because of it. It pretty much all started like as it probably did for most people. It started as a meme for me. I just started seeing jokes about it on Instagram, and I was really starting to get notified by the extremity of it when my work closed, and that was like kind of the turning point to why I wanted to make this video. I lost my job. Basically, the Canadian government on this last Monday, I think it's March like 18th today, they announced a warning to all businesses that they would like all non-essential businesses to close. I work for a company that owns a bunch of bars and hotels and restaurants, and I do two jobs for them. I do the events and reservations and administration work for one of them, which is like mostly on my computer and emails and that kind of thing, and then I also serve on the weekends as well. So like I had two different kinds of income, but it was all through the same company. And when the government put out a statement that all non-essential services needed to close, that being restaurants, bars, that hit me and all my fellow coworkers. So on Monday I was actually in at work, and the owners were watching the news and they were watching the global press conference, and they announced that we will be immediately closing because it's just not safe for our staff, it's not safe for the guests, and it's not safe for anyone to be in a bar or a restaurant or any gatherings of 50 people or more. So as of that point, my work gave me very little notice, very little instruction on how to move forward. Obviously, I'm not expecting more from them. I love the company that I work for and they're doing their absolute best, but they can only give so much information because we only know so much. we have no idea when this is going to stop or how we're going to function and how the economy is going to function. So no one can give you a definitive answer, which is the most stressful part of all. And basically they just said, like, you know, as of now we are indefinitely closed, and here's the link to apply for unemployment insurance. And that was really scary because I am, like I said before, I'm 20, and I've been working since I was 14, and I have not had a gap in all that time, except for when I've been on vacation, that I have not had a job. And I've never even like thought to start thinking of applying for unemployment insurance. Just like the thought of that was really scary, because I've always been self-sufficient and someone who like doesn't like not having a job. So now being kind of like helpless in this situation is really terrifying. So the next step that kind of sent me into a bit of a panic was when I had read the memo from my work that we needed to start applying for unemployment insurance because the Canadian government has promised to put $25 billion towards workers' compensation and just unemployment insurance for everyone who is forced to not work right now. I went to call the toll-free number to start signing up for it, and the line literally said, "We have such a high volume of calls right now that we just cannot take your call right now," and then it hangs up. And I tried it all day yesterday and today. I've been trying to call and it just keeps saying the same thing. And then so I tried to fill out an online application for unemployment insurance, and online their website keeps crashing because so many people are on the website trying to file for unemployment insurance because everybody is unemployed or is being laid off or has no job. And that is so frightening. And I mean, obviously the number one most frightening thing is the deaths and the sickness, but like, you know, there's things that come after that that are going to directly impact everybody. And that's like what's going on right now, the economy. People are worried about how they're going to pay rent. I'm frightened about how I'm going to pay rent. I'm frightened about how I'm going to eat next week. Like, I had a little bit of savings, but not enough savings to prepare for a month-long pandemic. And I live in one of the most expensive cities in Canada, which I guess is my fault. I guess I'm an idiot for living here, but I live in Vancouver. Rent is not cheap here, and basically the price of living is not cheap here. So if you are down and out of work for even just a week, you are taking a large chunk of your living wage. So let alone a month or indefinitely, like indefinitely not knowing how long you're gonna be paid. So another thing that has personally affected me that really made this all feel super real to me was when I was walking home from work on the day that I got sent home when my work had closed. I was walking down one of the busiest streets in downtown Vancouver. It's kind of like the touristy area that when you come off from the airport, you come to this street and it's just like shops and bars and restaurants, and that's also where I work. It's a very like high volume area typically. And when I was walking home on Monday, it was just a complete ghost town. And then furthermore, every single shop on Granville, like I'm talking Urban Outfitters, Aritzia, Nordstrom, like every shop on Granville had a sign on the door that said closed due to COVID-19. I mean, I understand, I personally believe that non-essential businesses shouldn't be open right now, but I also am terrified about my financial security. I work in a business that's non-essential. And then another thing that really kind of sent me into a frenzy of, oh my gosh, this is real. So I went to the grocery store yesterday. All of the shelves were empty. Like, I'm not even kidding you. It was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. And I know you've all seen the memes about the toilet paper, but it wasn't just toilet paper. There was no eggs. There was no almond milk or regular milk. There was no pasta. There was no pasta sauce. There was no ramen. There was no Kraft dinner. There was almost no bread left. Like, it was so past serious that it wasn't even a joke anymore. I'll insert a video I took when I was at the grocery store, but it's like, I've never seen anything like this in my whole life. And I'm not even entirely sure like what the reason for this is. Like, I don't know if it's on the company's ends that they're not supplying what we need, or if it's because people here are hoarding things from the grocery store. But either way, it's really terrifying to go in and it really starts to feel like the end of the world. It starts to feel like a pandemic and like we're all fighting for the last bits of food. That feeling is just almost worse than the actual pandemic, just that panic and just feeling the panic around you from everybody else. I personally just went and got as like little as I could, because I'm sure that there's other people out there who have families and who have kids who they actually need to feed, and I'm just one person. So I tried to get, you know, a very modest grocery haul that could last me a few days and not try to stockpile on everything, because there's people with kids out there and people with families to feed, and I just don't think that that's the answer right now. Basically, my main concerns right now are the stop of the pandemic and spreading it, and financial security for myself and my loved ones, for those who have been laid off their jobs and can't get through to unemployment insurance or Service Canada. Also visiting my family and my concern for their well-being, because I live like 1,000 miles away from them. They live a whole province over. And I can't just go drive to them right now, because if you know anything about Canada, it's very cold, so I can't drive because the highways to where my family lives are just covered in snow and avalanches, and it's just not safe to drive on. And the airport is the last place on the planet I would ever go right now. It's just too risky, and I'm just concerned because my parents and my grandparents are all over the age of 50, so just the thought of not being able to be close to them right now in this time is also very frightening. And when I'm sitting in this apartment all day being quarantined with my own thoughts, like all I can think about is their well-being and wanting to be close to them. So I guess I'm just going to kind of wrap this up now that I've kind of explained my personal experience on all of this. I'd quickly just like to touch on the topic of how to stop the spread of it. I know that this is probably just so redundant, and you can click away now if you already know and you don't want to listen to me tell you again, but for those who maybe don't know, or for those who may think that I might say something that you don't already know, obviously the first one is washing your hands, and washing your hands frequently and for at least 20 seconds at a time. Anytime you're eating anything, or anytime you come into your apartment or your house, just making sure you wash your hands immediately, because germs can stay on your hands for a really disgustingly long amount of time. This is just such a big one. Like if you've already heard everything else that there is to prevent COVID, please just listen to this one. Please stop stockpiling at the grocery store. Like, I get that we're all scared and we're all terrified that supplies may run out, but stop it. There are families, there are people, everybody needs their necessities, and it's not helping anyone right now for you to go buy 50 packages of toilet paper, Karen, okay, from fucking Save On. So please just take what you need and do not be hoarding necessities that we all need. Personally, when I do have to go out these last few days, I have been wearing a mask. It's not one of those medical masks. I'll show you. So my boyfriend works in construction, so he gets these through construction, but it's like just a typical construction mask. I wear this when I go out, not because I'm like so afraid of catching COVID, or like I think that I'm gonna die from it or anything. I've just watched a lot of videos of how people in Southeast Asia and in China, how they view wearing masks. It's a common courtesy that I think we should all kind of adopt here in North America. It's a common courtesy that if I'm sick, I don't get you sick, and if you're sick, you don't get me sick. So it's not like, oh, don't come near me with your germs, that's why I'm wearing a mask. Like, I know some people find it weird or scary that people wear masks, but it's in China, at least, they've described it as like a common courtesy, and I think that that's really thoughtful and really like what we need to be doing right now with everything that's going on. I wear my mask just because I don't know if I have it. I could go get tested, but I don't have any of the symptoms right now, and I don't want to bombard the healthcare system with more work than they already have. So I'm not going to go get tested until I feel like I have symptoms of it, but there's a possibility that I'm a carrier for it. I'm young, so I may not feel the symptoms right away, and I don't think that that's fair for me to not wear a mask and then spread it to someone who's elderly. So I'd prefer not to contract it if possible. So it's good all around. If you can wear a mask and you can wear it properly and a clean one, and you have access to them. If your government has also told you not to go out for large gatherings, just don't. Right now, it is not cool to go to the bar and get bottle service and to go hang out with all your friends. Right now, what is cool is self-isolating, staying home, social distancing. That is cool. 2020, social distancing is the new cool, okay? Until this all dies down, that is the most that we can all do as a collective whole, and people just need to change their mindset on thinking that going out right now is cool, because it's not. Because with what we're dealing with, it's only gonna be prolonged if everyone doesn't follow these guidelines. I think that is it. There's obviously a lot more things you can do to caution yourself and prevent yourself from contracting COVID as well as spreading it, but I'm not going to go into it too much because there's a lot of really good information on the World Health Organization, which I will link down below. Every country has different guidelines on what you should be doing right now, so just make sure to check out your specific country's website to make sure how you understand how they're dealing with it right now. But I just kind of wanted to come on here and explain my experience with everything and how I've been struggling with it. It's nice to hear other people's stories and see how they're doing, just to kind of comfort and subside the doom that we're all about to face. And if you liked seeing my face, feel free to subscribe. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.